Hi, everyone. This video, we are going to go over the steps of an evaluation assignment because I know there's been some confusion. We're going to talk a little bit about what we can do with data visualization and why it's important, and then I'm going to go over the data visualization assignment. So we'll cover all of those things. Let's see. So one of the things I wanted to show you was how do elements, like how do the different things in class fit together in terms of the evaluation? So if I was going to display this in terms of learning how to do a survey, it would look a little bit different. If I was going to display this in terms of learning how to problematize data, it would look a little bit different. All the pieces complement one another in different ways. But you've expressed interest in kind of thinking about, well, like, why do we do it this way in terms of the evaluation, and how did we learn how to do an evaluation, and then how did all the stats fit in? All right. So this green line here is the elements of how we kind of went through steps of an evaluation. Hint, hint. First we met with Dr. Garbesi. We talked quite a lot about the outcomes of the class, what they're interested in. We generated a logic model together. We revised a logic model. You didn't do this part, but I gave it back to them to give feedback, revised it again. We created a research question. We defined constructs. We created survey items. We checked those items with the folks who are doing the program and with each other and with me, right? So there were some validity checks. We created the survey, we administered the survey, and that's about where we're at right now. Our next steps are to analyze data and write a report. So we're going to analyze, your small group is going to analyze your data within your group and then write up a report. Now, in the meantime, in the orange, we've been learning about descriptive statistics. We've been learning about the mean, the standard deviation. We've been learning about sample size. We've been learning about how do we talk about numbers and statistics. And in this lecture, we're going to learn about data visualization. That all contributes to this moment in which we are analyzing data and writing a report. So we were essentially building skills all along to reach this moment where we have data and we're going to analyze it. We're going to essentially practice some of that stuff. You're not necessarily going to do inferential statistics, although you are welcome to, but you're going to do descriptive statistics in the process of the report. Okay. Okay, so you now have uploaded on Blackboard an assignment for the steps of the evaluation because you expressed a lot of worry about this. So essentially, this is what I wrote up. This assignment should be 1/2 to 1 page at 1.15 space. You can do it in bullet points. Actually, please do it in bullet points. Do not, or numbers, don't write paragraphs. And essentially, you'll write up the steps one might go through to conduct an evaluation. And to make it easier, I gave you 3 choices. So one choice is here at the bottom is that you could just write up generic evaluation steps. So if you have an idea of like, well, this is what you do this, you do this, you do this, that's fine. Another choice is you could write up the steps we did to conduct our class evaluation. So for example, we started by meeting with the program director and generating a logic model together. So that might be step number 1 or step number 1 and 2. Or you could write up the steps you might do to conduct an evaluation of a hypothetical program. So you're not actually conducting the evaluation, but you're sort of saying, wow, I'd really like to, it'd be great to evaluate this new parent support program that we have at my school. How would I start? Well, I'd start by, holding a meeting of, the folks who are creating that group, maybe even the folks who are attending that group. We'll talk through, well, what are the outcomes we're interested in? Maybe we'll generate a logic model together, right? So those are the kinds of things that you might have in your steps. In terms of the resources you can use multiple resources. You can use class slides. You can talk to your classmates. There's articles about how to conduct an evaluation. So there's ways to kind of pull this together. So again, remember, this is for you. This is so that if you ever want to do an evaluation of a program, you have a relatively detailed account that you can return to. Like, how do I do this? Oh yeah, here's some steps to do it. Okay, so next we're going to switch away from evaluation assignment, the steps of the evaluation assignment, to looking at, and please remember, this is not a huge assignment. This, please brainstorm your ideas, record them for yourself, but don't agonize over it. So I'm going to return to the slides and talk a little bit about the goals of data visualization. And then at the end, I'll talk about the data visualization assignment. Now, the stages of the evaluation, this one, steps of an evaluation, is due November 17th. And the data visualization presentations are 3 weeks later, December 5th, and somewhere in the middle there is where you're going to be drafting your section of the evaluation report. So there's essentially 3 assignments left for this semester. Okay, so very first thing you want to do you have your data set in front of you. So you should have cleaned it already based on last week's video. You should have your data set in front of you, and it should be ready to go. The first thing you want to do is watch the video that's right here in this slide. The link will be available in Blackboard or on the slides. So this slide, this tells you the basics of how to create a pivot table and a chart in Excel. It's closed captioned, it goes through step by step, highlight this, click this button, these kinds of things. So hopefully it will give you enough to create basic pivot tables and charts if you don't know how to do that already. I know there can be this kind of barrier to dealing with stuff in Excel if you haven't done a lot of it. But what I'm going to go over right now is kind of the more sophisticated charts. You can make a basic line chart, you can line graph, you can make a basic bar chart. And those are really great. Those are great for displaying data, especially if you do a little bit of manipulation to make them look a little bit better. But I want to show you some ways to enhance your data visualization a little bit more. So here you can see, maybe it's a little informal where they say, wow, look at region C. But essentially, they're comparing various regions right next to each other using a line graph, right? So this graph, the creation of this graph is not actually that difficult to do in Excel, but they've figured out how to put them next to one another. And these are all things that are available to figure out how to do on YouTube. And then they put the circle. So one of the ideas of data visualization is that you call the attention of your reader to something. This is a simple bar chart, but it's done in a way that is very visually friendly, right? So breakfast preferences focus on protein. 10% of evaluators don't eat breakfast. Apparently they were surveying evaluators. So they were calling this out. They wanted to highlight this piece of data. So they put it in gray and they called it out right here. But what I wanted to illustrate here, aside from calling out a particular finding, is that they put the label inside the bar and then they put the percentage at the end. Sometimes people put the percentage or the number inside the bar. Here's another way to do data visualization if you have a pre and a post and you want to show change over time from the pre to the post. So you can see here, this is a way of doing that. And you can even see that you can use arrows to show the direction that it changed. And there's, again, a video on Excel to show how to do this. Here's another bar chart where maybe you want to compare principals and teachers. And again, showing, hey, there's some interesting pieces right here. That's why the colors are darker. So you can see just by a balance of what's going on, like here's something different in principals listen to teacher concerns, you can see teachers in this particular survey, well, they felt okay about it. I mean, it's like 75%, but principals felt really okay about it. Here's another pre to post, or this is actually comparing, I guess it's comparing areas. So different places, what the, I don't even know what they're measuring, but they're measuring something and comparing it in different places. Okay, so that's just to kind of give you an idea of why it's fun to be able to do data visualization. And if you can report stuff like this out about your school or what you're doing in your programs, if you can report it out to people who are above you, to people who, parents, stakeholders, if you can report out data in a way that highlights particular things you're doing, it really helps with developing a group of stakeholders that is going to be supportive of what you're doing. And especially if you are pushing on areas of social justice that might generate resistance, if you can use data visualization to show that what you're doing is generating positive results, you're going to reduce some of that resistance. So now I'm going to go to the data visualization assignment. Now, this is due quite a bit later, all right? So don't panic, but return to this video when it's time to do this assignment. You are going to be in the same groups that you are in for the evaluation, right? Because you have your one construct. So think about the construct you were doing for the evaluation. You have a few questions, you've got some Likert items, you have some open-ended questions. Using your Likert items, so using your numerical items, you will do one demonstration of data visualization for the class. So you're going to essentially show us how to do a particular kind of data visualization. It's a 10-minute presentation, and this is very important. I've had some issues in past years with people going over, and we're not able to get them all in. People sometimes present extraneous information, like where we got the data set and things like that, because, you know, they want to do a thorough job. But I would like to ask you to only pull up the data set and show us how to do it. So the purpose of the presentation is to teach the rest of the students how to take a small data set and create a clear chart that communicates information about the data. You'll provide your data set to everyone else in this Google folder, okay, so that they can do it with you that day. So they'll be able to pull it up and do the manipulation with you. Now, I've provided some resources. I gave you a YouTube website for learning how to do pivot tables and things like that. So like I said, watch that first. When you're ready to get fancy, all of these Ann Kemery videos are good for how to do really interesting and fancier kinds of data visualization. And to make it really look good, this website is good for that. Okay, so here's several of the areas I'm going to assign to you, and we'll assign these in a little bit later, but there's going to be a pivot table, a vertical bar chart, a horizontal bar chart, making bar charts better, and a scatter plot. And I'll come up with a few others for all of you. But those are a few of the ideas that we're going to have, and I will be assigning them to your groups. Okay, that's it for now. Enjoy your week and enjoy playing with your data set.